with a cape on his back.
We're feeding the homeless.
This superhero is on a mission to wipe out hunger.
Because it's just the right thing to do.
Hurt Park is well known as a spot where the homeless gather in downtown Atlanta. So Austin P. Ryan and his father partnered with Church's Chicken and the Atlanta Community Food Bank to provide a meal to those who need it most. Stocked with 500 pieces of chicken and biscuits. People lined up, one after one. John has been homeless for 12 years.
Would you like some lunch?
And said seeing someone so young who cares is encouraging.
God bless you, Superman.
Some even spit in food and try to give it to him.
No, I'm not the mayor.
To see a 4-year-old to do this, that's hope.
You're welcome.
Austin's passion to feed the homeless all began while watching TV with his dad.
We were talking just about panda bears, and the mother was leaving her cubs, and I just gave him a quick answer and said, you know, the cub would be homeless for a while. And as any 4-year-old does, he said, what's homelessness? And I explained to him sometimes when you don't have a home and when mom and dad's not around.
But the questions kept on coming, so he took his son to see homelessness firsthand.
He wanted to feed them and make them happy.
Austin used his allowance money to purchase food and give it away in his home city, Birmingham. While wiping out hunger is a big feat for any superhero of any size, he hopes this can be an example.
I want other kids my age to feed the homeless too.
And with big goals ahead.
When I grow up, I want to be the President of the United States of America.
He plans to continue his superhero efforts.
You're welcome.
Tiffany Sherrod, 11 Alive News.